Bargain Furniture. Great rooms start here.
So the big difference between the way furniture is made between a good sofa and a bad sofa, or a less expensive sofa, is the way we look at it is you start out with a good sofa that's made properly, and the ingredients, the frame and the foam and the springs and the fabric that go into that frame to make it a good sofa are a set level of quality. So for a company to come along and say, well, I'm going to make that sofa, but I'm going to make that sofa for less money. I'm going to make it look like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Not so small that they'll notice, that the consumer would notice, but it's going to be smaller. So instead of it being, say, 90 inches, it's going to be 85. It's going to be maybe an inch or an inch and a half lower in the back. It's going to be a little bit narrower in the seat. And then the big changes take place. So instead of using, say, a 10 gauge coil system or sinuous coil in there, they'll use a 14 or 16 gauge, which is just steel that's not as strong. And instead of putting 2 springs here and a couple more all the way across and 2 more in the corner, they'll put 1 in the corner. So they'll save 2 springs on this sofa, but when you sit on it, you lean because it doesn't have enough springs right at the end to hold you up. Plus the spring's weaker. They'll also use a foam instead of using a 1.8 density or higher, which is actually how much the cushion weighs if you weighed a 1 foot piece of foam. 1.8 pounds per square foot is an industry standard. So furniture companies want to make furniture that are at least that good or better because we know that foam's going to last. A company that's trying to shave off money will use a 1.5 or maybe even less. And the density won't be as great, so it's not going to last as well. It's not going to be as firm, and it's not going to stay as firm for nearly as long. So the frame would be very similar as well. A good manufacturer is going to use solid pieces of wood and also plywood. Plywood is a very strong structure because it allows the wood strands to go different ways, and when you put that all together, it becomes very strong. And in places of stress, where there's a good deal of pressure against that, plywood can actually be stronger than a solid piece of wood. Solid pieces of wood can be very good and they're important in a frame, but not always the best. Sometimes a piece of plywood might be better. Where an inexpensive manufacturer, what they're going to do is they're not going to put either of those 2 in, or maybe a little bit of plywood, but they're not going to use any solid wood. And so what they're going to do is they're going to use manufactured lumber, which would be particle board, which you see at the lumber yards, or possibly manufactured lumber where they use larger pieces of wood. And they're going to use a CC router to put all that together and whatnot. But the strength in those kind of products are just not what plywood or solid wood are. And so over time, those stress points are going to begin to weaken and potentially fail. And when they fail, that means that the frame is broken or the spring comes loose and those sorts of things. And generally, that won't happen in the first year, but it'll certainly happen after the warranty period, because generally those inexpensive companies offer a 1-year warranty. At best, a lot of companies offer 90 days or 6 months warranty, some none at all. And so you're stuck with a frame, a sofa frame that's broken. You don't know how to fix it. It's expensive to fix. It might take a technician $100, $150 to fix the inside of that sofa, where you've only paid $300 or $400 for it in the begin with. You're better off to get a new sofa. So in reality, you've actually paid more for a sofa by buying the cheap one, because you have to buy it again, than you would have if you'd have bought a good one from the beginning. You'd have got one that was bigger. You'd have got one that was made better. The cover that's on it is going to be better, generally, although they will take what we call in the industry putting lipstick on a pig. So they'll take a really ugly frame with ugly springs and ugly joints and all of these things, and they'll cover it with a nice, beautiful cover. So when you go into a store, it's a cover that you've seen elsewhere, and you think, oh, that's the same one I saw over at Morgan's, and it's not. The one that you're going to get here is the one that's going to stand up and wear. It's going to be covered by a good warranty, and it's not going to fail. Where the other product is going to fail way sooner than you expect it, and you're going to be back out into the marketplace looking for another sofa. It just isn't a great way to go.
Morgan Furniture, great rooms start here. Got to be Morgan Furniture, great rooms start here.